As we say hello and welcome to Access Sportsnet Lakers, brought to you by Mercury Insurance. Allie Clifton alongside the Hall of Famer. Big game, James Worthy. Of course, you got Danny Green. Hi, guys.
Welcome home.
I don't know what's going on. I'm jittery. It's just weird. It has been a while.
Studio.
How you guys doing?
Good.
Smooth.
Yeah.
Mother's Day coming up tomorrow.
Yeah.
Any big plans?
Mother's Day? No.
Okay.
You know, just honor my mom, who's been gone for a while. But yeah, I still think of her tomorrow. Yeah, big day. My kid's mom.
Nice. Mine is fairly new mom, so
yeah.
the wife, yeah. So
Big plans?
not big, but we got some plans.
Yeah.
You, the sister,
Yeah, I guess that's a
niece?
reminder that I need to make the phone call.
Yeah.
Send the flowers, send the gifts.
Gotta have a Mother's Day, Father's Day, Auntie Uncle Day. You know what I mean?
Yeah, when do those days come in?
There you go.
Auntie Uncle days.
Right?
Yeah, nonetheless, well, we got some business to take care of. The Lakers, they prepared to take on the Thunder in Game 3 of the Western semifinals through 2 games here. Let's take a look at some notes for the Lakers. Not a good one to start with. 23 opponent points off turnovers this series. The 17.5 bench points they're averaging this series. They got a record of 2-21 when it comes to being down 0-2 in a best-of-7 series, and they're 2-1 at home in the playoffs, 4-4 in the last 3 playoffs. So despite being down 0-2 right now, you can't deny their efforts to try to overcome the odds, I guess, that are against them. Big Game, I'll start with you. What have you seen in this series that's kind of just maybe giving you that hope, maybe the internal worthy clap that you want to give?
I've seen some good basketball by the Lakers.
Yeah.
Some really good basketballs. You know, they've lost games in spurts, you know, and the things that we always talk about in crucial moments, you know, turnovers, offensive rebounds, second opportunities for Oklahoma, not shooting the ball well. You know, we're a better shooting team than we've shown. So with all that said, being down 0-2, I'm like, okay, if we just keep scratching, keep doing what we're doing, and we know some shots are going to go down. We know Luke's going to hit some shots. Austin is back on track. So, you feel okay. You don't. I mean, you hate that you're down. You've lost 2 games on the road. That's the way it's supposed to go until you break that ice at some point. But you definitely got to try to, open it up at home.
Yeah, for me, I mean, I've seen a lot of positives in both those games. They were competitive. They were close. Like, a lot of people were saying they're going to get swept, blown out. Like, that didn't happen. The score is not showing what the game actually was like. Yeah. Through the first game, the first 3 quarters, it was really close. Even the last game, it was close, even to the 4th, up until, like, the last, 6 to 8 minutes or so. It kind of went back and forth, but they were competitive, and the biggest thing was the turnovers. Of course, they could shoot better. They will at home. The other guys will shoot better. Marcus Smart will shoot better. And they'll have a lift. Austin has got more of a rhythm now, but if they can not turn the ball over, it'll give them that edge to overcome those 4th quarters, which they've kind of had big deficits in. But defensively, ultimately, like a great game plan on SGA, kind of limiting him, not letting him get in rhythm, making others beat you. Those other guys won't shoot it as well, also on the road. You hope anyway. But you got to make the miss. You got to scramble. You got to play good defense. You got to talk. You got to play your butt off. But there's a lot of bright spots. OKC played really well at home, and that's a tough building to play in. Like, that building is like, they say +4 or +6 for most people at home. They're like a +10 in that building. So I didn't expect them to win, but them showing that they have the poise to keep it close gives a lot of positivity coming back home to, crypto.
Tough building to play in, let alone win, to your point. I'm going to come back to you on this just from the standpoint of the Lakers may be down, but they're not out. There are 2 teams that have come back from 0-2 to win it. You got the 69 Lakers team. After losing the first 2 games at home, they rallied to win and go 4-2. And then the 0-4 Lakers team, of course, following an 0-2 start, they returned home, secured wins in 3 and 4. And then, of course, D-Fish's legendary .4 shot there in Game 5. We were just kind of talking about you've been on both sides of series like this. Sometimes all it comes down to, though, when you're on this side of things, as the Lakers are, is belief.
That's pretty much in confidence, right? And one game at a time. Once you get that one game, it helps build the confidence. Strangely enough, the first time that I was on the side of this, being down or being up 0-2, was against OKC. And they ran up 4 straight on us when they came back home to that building. And got a chance to, get the 2 games at home. And once they won those 2 games, they built confidence. And it was kind of hard for us to put them back on their heels. Excuse me. The other time I was down 0-2 was in Toronto. And it was against the Milwaukee Bucks. So we got a chance to even it up at home, get that game 3, which was a tough one because it was a hard-fought one. The game 4, we built confidence, actually won comfortably, like a 20-point blowout. And next, when a series is tied up, it's a new ball game. And then from there, we just stole one in Milwaukee, won 4 straight. So I've been on both sides where I've won 4 straight and also lost 4 straight because I know how tough it is also to play in that building in OKC.
I believe that, brother. I've witnessed it. We've never been down 0-2, but you said the right word. You have to believe, man. If you don't believe, and what I see in the Lakers is they believe, man. They got that little situation with the referees. They got to let that go. You got to go into the game knowing that you're playing against 8.
Especially
really.
OKC, yeah.
And so just get through that. Like I said, we were down 3-2 in the finals in '88, and coming back home, need to win 2 in a row. And we just never thought we were out of it. We just believed against a good Piston team. So if you believe, collectively and continue to do what you do and clean up some of those mistakes, you get some momentum. But I hope that's the case.
You know who never loses belief? Our guy. We're going to head down to Crypto.com Arena, check in with Lakers reporter Mike Trudell. Hello, Mike.
Hey guys, welcome downtown. Wait a second. Did Big Game just casually say that he had never been down 0-2
Yep,
in a series before? I mean, it makes sense, right? I was like, do I have time to search this on Basketball Reference? And I was like, well,
can't remember, but we could have.
Probably not. Probably not. There's no reason that you would have been
question that.
with all of that talent. The 4 number 1 overall picks on the team. Just, man, you guys made it look so easy. And Danny Green's been on some pretty good teams himself. All right, let's get to J.J. Redick here, guys. And look, going back to the first 2 games, one thing was pretty clear. The Lakers did indeed do a great job on Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. But what happens sometimes against teams that are as good and as deep as OKC, they found many other ways to hurt the Lakers. So that's where we started with JJ, wondering if there will be some sort of adjustment that they'll have to make here in Game 3 with Shai and how they defended him. Here's JJ.
Again, I repeat what I said after the game. We've got to be better in the non-Shai minutes, and we'll look at different lineups and different coverages in those minutes.
And with the focus that you've had on Shai, and obviously you have successfully limited him, where with the rest of their roster, what has stood out the most? Like, where have they kind of hit you in those spots when he hasn't been out there?
Yeah, I mean, Mitchell and McCain have hurt us in those non-Shai minutes, and then Chet's hurt us the whole game. I think you got to be willing to live with something. Shai playing one-on-one thus far in the series, we haven't been willing to live with. So you're going to be in rotation. That can lead to smalls on bigs at the hole, and the offensive rebounding from Chet has really hurt us. We're looking at different options for that.
JJ, will Jared Vanderbilt play tonight?
He's available.
That's incredible.
You guys spent a significant chunk of the regular season playing zone. I think it was the third highest frequency of your defense compared to the rest of the league. Hasn't been as much of a factor, not just in this series, but the playoffs overall. I guess what contributed to you guys not playing as much zone, and is that a viable option for this series?
I thought our man-to-man defense got better. Again, we had 48 straight games without a 2-day break, so practicing wasn't on the table. But the film and walkthrough was beneficial in improving our defense throughout the season. And the zone it's matchup based, it's personnel based. There's a reason when we were playing a lot of zone, we didn't play it at all against the Clippers because Kawhi was on the floor. There's certain guys you don't want to play zone against. But again, it certainly could be an option at some point.
All right, so there's some of the options laid out there by J.J. Redick, and we'll see if the Lakers do indeed not double Shai as much. Likely he's going to be in the 30s, but maybe that cuts off the water of some of those other players. He mentioned Mitchell, mentioned McCain off the bench, and then Chet, who's been terrific throughout. So we'll see how that plays out here in Game 3, guys.
Mike, I stand corrected. We got swept in 1989 by the Pistons. Yeah, we were down. Yeah.
I don't know.
Nobody
Kareem
remembers
was
that one.
older by that
Yeah.
point. That doesn't really count.
Yeah, we put an asterisk beside that. Thank you, brother.
This is where we say, Big Game,
I
let's
like
not
your
let the
first story
facts get
better.
in the way of a good story. Yeah, exactly. Indeed.
The principle of it remains true. Yeah.
We appreciate it, Mike Trudeau. We'll talk to you coming up later in the show. Thunder and the just how deep and complete this Thunder roster really is. So if you start with the good first, Big Game, the Lakers have, in the playoffs in general, you look at that first round series versus Kevin Durant, the superstar game, right? They were able to manage Kevin Durant, shut him down. You can't shut down Shea, however, for a guy that was averaging 31 in the regular season. You're holding him to just 20 so far here in this series. You got to be pleased with that.
Dude, that's like holding him to 10.
Yeah.
You can hold him to 20. And I think JJ and the coaching staff has put a good game plan together. They're not giving him, his normal alleys or freeways that he's used to. He's always seeing a body in front of him. They're kind of predetermining where they want to force him to and where they want the, help to come from. So he's not getting that direct, to his sweet spots that he's used to getting to. And I think a lot of that has to do with Marcus Smart, who's a veteran defender. I think he was defensive player of the year 1 year. He's putting a lot of pressure on him. He's not just bringing the ball up freely. He's picking him up full court, putting him in a tough position. But they know where he is at all times, and I think collectively they're communicating on the backside, and they're rotating to to spots where he usually gets his shots. He's not getting easy buckets. Key.
Yeah, shout out to JJ and the coaching staff. I think they did a great job collectively of putting together a game plan to keep him out of rhythm. To hold any superstar 11 points under their average is great. Like, you can't ask for better than that. But you can ask for your team to be better when he's off the floor. Like, you got to find ways to win those minutes, or at least keep him even, because that's where you're supposed to make your money. But yes, they've done a great job of trapping him, defending him without fouling, not letting him get their arms and antics. Just keep him off the free throw line, keeps him out of rhythm. So they've done an amazing job on this one individual, but now they have to do it as a collective on the rest of those guys. And hopefully, the fans tonight will be rowdy to, give them a little support, and those other guys won't shoot as well on the road. But the defense has to be just as good when he's off the floor. Yeah. I know it's hard to game plan for those other, but you can still, I don't know if you need to trap Chet or whoever else is handling the ball, whether it's AJ Mitchell or even Jared McCain. Like, you got to find ways to not let those guys get hot either.
Have you ever experienced something like this, Big Game, in terms of obviously your ability to kind of handle the superstar, but the depth of a roster being this great?
Yeah. Like, there's been several teams. I remember my early years, Philadelphia 76ers had Dr. J and Moses Malone, but they also had a guy named Andrew Toney who would just scorch you coming off the bench, guys like that. Detroit Pistons had a guy in the microwave, Vinnie Johnson. You hate to see him come in the game. He was another one. So, yeah, there are teams where you just can't take a rest when the star player goes out. In fact, your antennas have to go up because your job is, more important to shut it down while that player is out. So you got to watch out for these 6th and 7th man. This guy right here, when he came in the game, everybody knew when Danny was coming in the game. Danny's in the game. But, you have to be aware of those guys off the bench because they're specialists and they're coming in there for a purpose.
Yeah, you got to try to limit them as much as possible. I've seen some teams too that have done this, and some of them were early OKC teams. When they had James Harden coming off the bench, like that was like a three-headed monster. And also they had Serge Ibaka and company. But Golden State Warriors, they had a three-headed monster and some depth with some other really good pieces around them.
Jamal Crawford was another one.
Yeah, the Clippers, even the Philly team that we went 7 with, where Kawhi hit the shot. They had Tobias, Jimmy, Ben, Joel, JJ was a player at that point. Like, they had a lot of guys that was tough to guard. So you got to find a way to neutralize them with your bench as well. And those other guys got to produce, not just play defense, but we need some more bench production. That's the other way that you can kind of neutralize them. You get somebody to come in, knock down some shots, whether it's Luke Kennard, whether it's, even Marcus in the starting lineup, if he's more efficient, that'll help. DeAndre Ayton giving you 10+ points. Jackson Hayes giving you 8 to 10 of some, putbacks and rebounds. All those matter.
So their depth is a challenge. Let's take it to the next challenge, which, Big Game, you just kind of alluded to. The Lakers got to let it go from game 2. JJ voicing his frustrations with the foul calls or lack thereof that the Thunder are getting away with some moves, if you will. Also, LeBron having the worst whistle for any superstar in the game. He also did note that that wasn't the reason why they lost. But how deflating when you're already up against this challenge of the defending champs and who they are, and then you're not even feeling you're getting properly.
Most players can handle a couple of bad calls, a couple. But when they're obvious and they're plenty and they're not even, it's very, frustrating. You're in the playoffs. You're playing well enough to win. Okay, they're getting to the line. LeBron's getting pounded, and it's clear. Then you got the flop, which I thought they had put something in for that. They should, take be able to rewind that and take a look at that. And then Shea getting calls when there was no foul. So yeah, it's frustrating. Unfortunately, you got to play through that. And I think it's good that they let it be known, because it gets to a point where you have to let it be known. You just can't take it anymore. I mean, Austin Reeves didn't like the way a referee addressed him. And so, they're both men, so you get that behind you now. Don't let that come into game 3, and you just keep pushing forward.
Yeah, I think this is the frustration of most guys in the league. And most teams against the Oklahoma City Thunder. Why? They're one of the most physical teams out there. They're allowed to get up in you. They're allowed to use hands and touch you. And when it comes to the other side of the coin, you really can't put many hands on SGA. They're calling those fouls. So that's why they're frustrated. I understand their frustrations. They want to see some consistency. Like Big Game said, there was something in place at one point for flopping. It's kind of up and down. Some people have spoken on it. Maybe wrong time. Some people have talked about it on their streams and Twitches. But I'm sure eventually they will have something to fix that. But that, again, when you're going on the road, you're not going to get calls. When you're going against certain teams, you're not going to get those calls. You got to find a way to fight through them, and it can be frustrating, but you got to put it behind you and move forward. Tonight, you're in your home building. It goes game to game. Some games you might get some home cooking. Some games you might not. You might even get some calls on the road. That's just how it is sometimes, nature of the business. So, and Bron knows that. He's done 23 years. Austin Reeves is still young, but you know what you can control. You can control those other things, but I can understand a lot of those turnovers are happening because of how physical they're allowed to be, and that a lot of those fouls are happening because you're not allowed to be physical, and you feel like you're not getting a fair shake. So,
Not sure there's a proper strategy to, addressing all of this, but to your point, I think the Lakers did what they needed to from a player's perspective and a coaching perspective after game 2. You hope to put it behind you moving forward. Game 3, it tips off at 5:30, and it's all eyes on LeBron James as the Lakers look to get back in this series. The league's all-time leading scorer coming off a 23-point performance Thursday night. He's averaging 25 and 6 in the first 2 games of this series. Plus, a rough start to the series. Austin Reeves and